Okay, what personal characteristics contribute to my creativity? I think that in the Clifton StrengthsFinder world, my number one strength is learner. My number two strength is input, which means you're always gathering facts and always wanting to share those with others. And then my number three strength is ideation, which is my personal favorite. There's a children's book called What Do You Do with an Idea? And it's a beautiful, like 30-page book, and it shows a person with some little like ugly egg-shaped thing following the person around, and it won't leave the person alone, and the person tries to ignore it, neglect it, but it just keeps following it around, and pretty soon it starts to be given attention, and then it grows, and then it turns into, you know, some really mature thing. I think that my personal characteristics that lead me to be creative are all of those disparate ideas and stimulation from so many different fields. I'm not narrow in scope. I like to read biotechnology or CRISPR gene editing or nanotechnology and internet and cyber, cryptocurrency and history and politics and religion and dozens and dozens of topics. And I think for me, it's the intersection of this with this that leads to a spark. I remember in the global financial crisis of 2008, I got obsessed with watching C-SPAN. I watched hundreds of hours of C-SPAN TARP hearings. I read 40 books on the global financial crisis. And I also read the memoirs of Mariner Eccles, who was the chairman of the Federal Reserve for 14 years, from 1934 to 1948, under the Depression and the New Deal. And so he was, if we could channel one person in the world to help members of Congress or the banking community navigate the global financial crisis of 2008, it would have been Mariner Eccles. And I read his 500-page biography, and I started reading about financial engineering and derivatives and the global financial markets and how fragile they are and how bad regulation was on over-the-counter derivatives. And I distinctly remember thinking, I'm probably the only person on earth who has read Frank Partnoy's Infectious Greed and Mariner Eccles' Beyond Beckoning Frontiers. And I'm like, okay, if I'm the only person who has had the intersection of that historical figure with this brilliant modern legal author, like, what am I supposed to do about that? And I tried to create a Facebook group called Americans Against Financial Derivatives. And even though I'm a good marketer and I've had products being used by tens of millions of people, I think I had 6 people join that site in 2008 and 2009. So I have created in my own mind the rules for financial regulation and ethical corporations and distributed capitalism and lessening inequality. There's all kinds of things in my head, but your ability to create something in your head versus create it in the real world are two different things. And I found over the years that if I don't have people that can implement, that are really good at focus, really good at execution, really good at building, and really good at communicating, I can do little or nothing by myself. And so some of my ideas are creative and magnetic. They just attract everybody. Everyone's like, oh yeah, that's so great, let's do that. And then you get a team, you get funding, and you build something awesome. And then other ideas that I feel just as passionate about and they're just as important are almost impossible to communicate and therefore to get anything done. But yeah.